These weren't just bad signings, they were full-blown scandals. Millions wasted, careers destroyed. And in one case, the police got involved. From mystery men no one had ever seen kick a ball, to megastars who completely checked out. These transfers didn't just fail, they dragged Manchester United's reputation through the mud. And the worst part, these disasters weren't accidents. They were warning signs of a giant that had completely lost its way. So buckle up. We're counting down the 5 most infamous transfers in United's recent history. And trust me, number 1 might just be the most expensive mistake in Premier League history. Number 5, Bebe. Coming in at number 5, we have maybe the most bizarre transfer in Manchester United's history, Bebe. In the summer of 2010, United stunned everyone by paying £7.4 million for a player who, just weeks before, was in the Portuguese 3rd division. The promise was, well, a total mystery. Sir Alex Ferguson, in a move that was completely out of character, admitted he'd never seen Bebe play, not even on video. He signed him based on a recommendation from his scouting network. The story was that United had to move fast to beat Real Madrid to his signature. For a minute, fans thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd found a hidden gem. The scandal, though, was the deal itself. Bebe had only joined his Portuguese club, Vitória de Guimarães, 5 weeks before moving to Old Trafford. He hadn't played a single game for them. The whole thing was engineered by super agent Jorge Mendes, who reportedly took a huge chunk of the fee. The deal was so murky that years later, it was pulled into a wider police investigation in Portugal, looking into irregularities in transfers. On the pitch, a disaster. You could see it right away. He looked completely out of his depth. Just 7 appearances, a few clumsy touches, and that was it. A symbol of a transfer that made 0 sense. The exit was quiet. After a few failed loan spells, he was sold to Benfica. United took a big loss. The Bebe saga is still this baffling chapter in the club's history. If you thought Bebe's signing was baffling, wait till you meet the keeper who was supposed to replace a legend and ended up banned from football. Number 4 is Mark Bosnich. At number 4 is a player whose scandal was less about money and more about a dramatic fall from grace. Mark Bosnich. The Aussie keeper came back to Old Trafford in 1999. He was meant to be the successor to the legend, Peter Schmeichel. The promise was huge. Bosnich had been a top-class keeper at Aston Villa. He was charismatic, confident, and had the talent to fill the gloves Schmeichel left behind. Fergie himself had scouted him as a team and brought him back, believing he had the personality to command the box for years. The scandal was a story of personal turmoil. Bosnich's professionalism started to spiral. There were clashes with Sir Alex over his fitness and weight. His first season back, he shared goalkeeping duties and never really made the number 1 spot his own. But the real drama was brewing off the pitch. The personal demons that would later lead to a cocaine addiction and a lengthy ban from the sport after he left the club were starting to surface. Ferguson wrote in his book that he was a terrible professional. While the worst of his problems came after he left Old Trafford, his time at the club was derailed by the issues bubbling underneath. His form dipped, and he was quickly replaced by Fabian Barthez. The exit was unceremonious. United let him go to Chelsea on a free transfer in 2001, just to get him off the books. It was a sad end for a player who had the talent to be a United great. Instead, Mark Bosnich's story is a reminder of how off-pitch demons can turn a dream move into a nightmare. Number 3, Paul Pogba. Our number 3 spot is for a player who represents the promise, the chaos, and the identity crisis of post-Ferguson United all in one, Paul Pogba. The prodigal son who left for nothing, came back for a world record fee, and left for nothing all over again. The promise was astronomical. When United paid a world record £89 million to bring him back from Juventus in 2016, it was supposed to be a statement. He was the complete modern midfielder, skillful, powerful, with a marketing appeal that was off the charts. The hashtag #Pogback campaign was slick. He was the superstar who would launch United back to the top. And for a while, there were moments of pure world-class brilliance. Spectacular goals, defense-splitting passes, and he helped the club win the League Cup and the Europa League in his first season. The scandal was a slow-burning fire that just never went out. It was a saga of inconsistency and agent-driven drama. FIFA even reviewed the transfer over the massive fees paid to his agent, Mino Raiola, who allegedly pocketed over £40 million from the deal. On the pitch, moments of genius were followed by long stretches where he was anonymous. His public flirtations with Real Madrid became a soap opera. There were public fallouts with managers, especially Jose Mourinho. It created a constant debate. Was the team failing Pogba, or was Pogba failing the team? He admitted in a 2024 interview that he wanted to leave after his best season in 2018-19, but the club blocked it. Mentally, he was already checked out. The exit was the predictable, depressing end. After 6 years, his contract ran out, and he walked away for free. Again. The £89 million investment brought zero return. The Paul Pogba saga is a defining scandal of United's lost decade, a story of immense financial waste and a transfer strategy built more on commercial hype than footballing sense. We're down to our top two, and the money involved is truly mind-boggling. Who do you think was the bigger disaster? Drop it in the comments. I want to see what people think. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Number 2, Angel Di Maria. At number 2, we have a player who arrived as a certified world beater and was gone after 1 season, leaving behind a huge financial loss and a lot of bad blood. Angel Di Maria. The promise was electrifying. Summer of 2014, United smashed the British transfer record, paying £59.7 million for him. This wasn't a gamble on potential. This was the finished article. Di Maria had just been named man of the match in the Champions League final for Real Madrid. He was handed the iconic number 7 shirt. His arrival was meant to signal a new era, and his start was brilliant. That stunning chip against Leicester. It was pure class. Old Trafford thought they had their next hero. The scandal was how fast it all fell apart. That initial spark faded. Di Maria struggled to fit into Louis van Gaal's rigid system and the physical side of the Premier League. He just looked lost. But the defining moment happened off the pitch. In early 2015, his family home was targeted in an attempted burglary. It left him and his family deeply unsettled and wanting to leave England. And you can't blame them for that. His motivation just disappeared. He got sent off in an FA Cup game for grabbing the referee's shirt, an act that just summed up all his frustration. He didn't want to be there anymore. The exit was swift. After just 1 season, he was sold to PSG for a loss of around £15 million. A huge waste, but he later made it clear how much he hated his time in Manchester, creating a toxic relationship with the fans that's still there today. The Di Maria signing was a failure on every level. A story of a player who couldn't adapt, and a record-breaking investment that went up in smoke in less than a year. At number 1, Alexis Sanchez. And at number 1, you knew it was coming. The undisputed champion of calamitous transfers. It is, of course, Alexis Sanchez. The promise was immense. In January 2018, United beat City to sign Sanchez from Arsenal. At the time, he was one of the best players in the league. The infamous announcement video, with Sanchez playing the piano, felt like a coup. United had stolen a world-class talent from their rivals in a swap deal. This was the player who was supposed to take United to the next level. The scandal was the contract. The numbers are still staggering. To get the deal done, United obliterated their wage structure. Reports put the total package, with bonuses and fees, at up to £560,000 per week. It reportedly caused immediate tension in the dressing room and set a dangerous precedent. It's believed to have complicated contract talks for other players, like Ander Herrera, down the line. But the financial madness would have been forgotten if he'd delivered. He didn't. Not even close. In 45 appearances, he scored just 5 goals. It was like he lost all his confidence and drive overnight. The exit was a desperate, costly mess. United were so eager to get his wages off the books, they loaned him to Inter Milan and kept paying a big chunk of his salary just for him to play for someone else. He eventually joined Inter for free after United paid him off to terminate his contract. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Alexis Sanchez, the man on £560,000 a week, admitted in an interview that after one training session at United, he wanted to go back to Arsenal. Let that sink in. These weren't just transfer flops. They were full-on scandals, stories of chaos, desperation, and a club losing control of its identity, one deal at a time. But here's the thing. It's not all doom and disaster, because for every Sanchez, there's a signing that changed everything, for the better. So if you want to wash the taste of these disasters out of your mouth, make sure you're subscribed, because next, we're flipping the script. In the next video, we're counting down the best signings in Manchester United history, the legends, the bargains, the players who saved this club. You've seen the worst. Now let's celebrate the very best. See you there.